Welcome to Words From My Face. On tonight's show, we're talking Deus Ex, the movie. We're talking about the TV shows you should watch during the TV Deadzone, that is the summer, and the Shenmue 3 Kickstarter. Stay tuned. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Words From My Face. My name is Brian. With me, as always, producer extraordinaire Brendan.
You.
And we are the one and only home of the Chewbacca chainsaws. Yeah, that's Chewy. That is the silky smooth Chewy. I haven't really had a good
from E3.
He did come back from E3. It wasn't much of a traveling trip for him. He can traverse the distance between East Coast and West Coast, and I guess West Coast back to East Coast, literally within 5.4 seconds.
There are some theories about how he's able to travel so fast, but we're just going to go right now with the fact that he's, the platinum medalist in long distance running forever.
Everything. Any sport, any athletic event, he's already won it. So, yeah, that's how it goes. But tonight is Monday night, so we are coming at you with some entertainment. You might be wondering what's going on with the sports side. It's just a boring time in sports right now for me. But I will have a draft coverage tomorrow night for the NBA. I'll do something about that, and then I'll talk about the NBA draft after that. So,
and if you haven't figured it out, remember we do have the sports channel.
We do.
Which you should also go check out if you're still looking for sports and are like, where's all the sports guys?
You should check it. Definitely check
it. Sports. Mm-hmm. See, we make it real easy for you to know. We just put sports on the end.
That's simple. It's that simple. But yeah, so let's jump right into it and kick it off this week with the horrible movie of the week review. And so we have hit a new low in terms of the horrible movie of the week. About as bad of a movie as I've ever watched. I really couldn't get past, I think it was 35 minutes. And I've watched some pretty horrible movies. This one just takes the cake. So the movie I watched this week.
You've stomached really bad movies. Like, I'm surprised that you could stand.
This is the first time. Now, I have fallen asleep during some movies.
I can usually get past some pretty bad movies. I think you've actually plowed through some of the movies that I couldn't even get past. So,
I have fallen asleep during some movies, but I've gotten through them. And this one I couldn't get through. So this week I tried to watch Grim Avengers. And title doesn't make it sound so horrible, but let me just tell you what the synopsis of the story is. And when I read this, I was like, oh, this is perfect horrible movie of the week. So apparently Snow White is sucked into another dimension by Rumpelstiltskin, which when I say another dimension, I mean our dimension here. And the three
to be fair, that almost makes sense. That almost makes sense with Rumpelstiltskin anyway.
And three princesses from the Grimm, and Grimm as in the Brothers Grimm, the guys who wrote all these fairy tales, and three princesses and Red Riding Hood. For some reason, she's in it. She's not a princess, but she comes too. And they come over.
Have anyone else?
And they come and try to bring Snow White back. So I couldn't even really tell you who the princesses were. I believe one was Cinderella. I could tell you that. Red Riding Hood. Sleeping Beauty, I think, was one of them. And then I can't tell you who the third one was. But that's one of them. And it was just the worst written, worst acted, worst scored movie I think I've ever seen in my life. I mean, just even the way they were dressing, like Casper Van Dien was in this movie. Now, that name might sound familiar, but you don't really know who he is. He was in Starship Troopers, which is actually a pretty fun movie. I enjoyed it. That's his biggest movie, I'd say, and he was in this movie, and he was Rumpelstiltskin, and there was one part where they're showing him in his supposed to be like fantasy getup, where he's taking over Snow White's kingdom in the very, very beginning of the movie, and he's wearing this like cheap gold robe which makes sense for the Rumpelstiltskin story, but it's just so horrible. And then you see that he's, instead of wearing like shoes that would fit like the period, he's wearing like tennis shoes. And it's just like they didn't even give him shoes. Like they didn't even bother to give him the guy shoes. It was just
that's what
bad.
He wore into the studio that day.
He's like, they're just like, just wear those shoes. They're fine. Don't worry about it. And so
were they nice tennis shoes at least?
I didn't. They barely showed them. I mean, they weren't really trying to show them. So I mean,
it's one of those days they're like, let's pad up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just was horrible. I mean, I've had some corny writing before, but this was just some of the worst. I just couldn't stomach it. I just couldn't stomach it. So Rumpelstiltskin wants Snow White to open the portal so his army can go through and destroy everybody else on the other side, because there's no magic in our world and his magic can get through. So again, I mean, I guess they could do something in for. I don't know, but because literally they go through the portal. It seems like half a day later, the princesses show up and they're like, "Okay, we're here we beat off all the evil army. We're here to save Snow White." And they're like, "Oh, she's through the looking glass. Okay, well, let's go too."
Oh, through the looking glass.
Well, I don't know if they said that. I don't know if they said that.
They better have.
Okay, fine.
They better have said it.
They did say it.
Just to make
and
it.
So they go through the portal too, and somehow the wolf from Red Riding Hood goes through, but the wolf is really a man with no wolf features at all. And yeah, and apparently Rumpelstiltskin in half a day.
He's the Wolf of Wall Street.
Maybe.
That's what he's got to be. Did he go in and do a bunch of business transactions?
It might have been cooler if he did. I might have paid attention for longer if he did. But he follows him through. But apparently in like half a day, Snow White has become this like underground like street person, and Rumpelstiltskin has become mayor. So yeah,
he's thinking really high there. Going for mayor.
Yeah. And that was about the time when I was just like, I cannot stomach this anymore. I watched it for another 15 minutes. I was just like, no, I just can't do it. So I'm going to stop talking about this horrible movie because I've already talked about it for longer than I should have. And just go ahead and give it the obligatory 0.
That's
0.
It's done.
We've
never had this low.
I don't think we have. I think the lowest I've given was half a star, or half a Chewbacca chainsaw, I should say.
I think the lowest you gave was 1. I thought that was your lower limit for a while, but yeah, I mean,
0. It just
I can't give a sound effect.
No, you don't even have to. You don't even have to. It's just that bad. It's just a 0. So, yeah, go ahead and watch the Grim Avengers. Good times.
You know what? Too, this is another one of those movies too, which I think is even worse because the name sounds like it could have been a decent movie.
No.
And now they've taken away a name that could have been a decent movie. I'm not saying good movie. Just like In the Name of the King. Could have been a decent movie.
I could have.
Name, title.
But it was Uwe Boll directed it, so you knew it was going to be horrible.
That was my first movie by him that I watched. And also the first movie I could not get through.
First Uwe Boll experience. But yeah. So... yeah, just not a very good plot. Could be turned around with somebody who like was smart, that knew how to write a script.
Just the title could have been a decent movie title for something else.
Yeah, well, I should have known what it was going to be too, because Asylum Pictures did it, and Asylum Pictures has been on a horrible movie. Like Phase 4 and Asylum Pictures have been on a horrible movie of the week just 100 million times. So
yeah, for some reason these like modern Grimm's Tales movies tend to also be pretty low on the totem pole. Like I think there's a couple that are decent, but
no,
there's been a lot that are like, hey, let's go just a whole big mash of Grimm's fairy tale stuff.
Let's just make some garbage and throw it at the wall and hope we can make a couple bucks. Yeah, so let's just forget about that movie and keep on moving. Let's talk about something that I'm hoping will be good. Yeah, so Deus Ex, if you don't know about that, that is an amazing game series. It was developed by Eidos. It has now been taken over by Square Enix. And
one of the many games acquired by Square in their Eidos buyout.
Yep. So when I first played Deus Ex, it was one of the best games ever. It's kind of one of my first jump into, like, it was a first-person shooter, but it's also a solid RPG because you're definitely developing your character the way you want them to develop, and there was a great backbone of a story to the whole thing. So you see that it's an amazingly told game, and you're like, okay, great. They had other ones after that. I never really played those. Square Enix, when they bought out Eidos, they did reboot the series, and Human Revolution came out, and that was a pretty cool game. That was supposed to be the prequel to the original game, because in the original game, one of the first things you see and kind of kickstarts the story is your brother gets killed. Well, the original prequel games take place as you are your brother, the brother of the guy. So, at E3, they announced that, hey, we are going to have another Deus Ex game that's going to be coming out sometime in the next year or so. And a lot of people were like, great. Human Revolution was an awesome game, really good story. And then we got some more news that, hey, looks like some more announcements are going to be coming. And I bet you the announcement is who's really going to be putting this movie out there. But they're saying that the movie is not dead. It's going to be announced because CBS Films had actually picked it up in 2012. And they were talking a lot about making this movie. And kind of went by the wayside there because CBS Films, I don't know how much of a big budget they have for their films. And it seemed like this one was going to need more of a big budget. When you're going for the cyberpunk, you're going to have a lot of CGI. It's going to have to be something big and grandiose. And if it's done right, it could be really good. So we're going to get a big announcement. I bet you we're going to have a really big movie studio come in and pick up this project and keep it going because I believe there is a script out there. But I just wanted to talk about something, about our expectations for a movie like this because Deus Ex is a cyberpunk movie. And I don't know, how many cyberpunk movies do we really have out there? Not enough.
There's probably
more Blade Runner, stuff like that.
There's some big ones out there. Depending on where you define cyberpunk. I mean, if you want, you can call something like The Matrix cyberpunk if you want it.
I guess that is cyberpunk. No, that's cyberpunk, I'd say.
I'll say it's stretching a little bit because there are other elements of cyberpunk that don't really come up in that, but it depends. But you could see that there are ones out there, like big name ones that are. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if I had to reach into different realms, not just movies, like Ghost in the Shell, that's definitely a big cyberpunk one. But with Deus Ex, you really do deal with the augmentations of humans. Your main character, one of the first things that happens to you in Human Revolution is you get in this big explosion and your arms and legs are blown off. So you're cybernetically redesigned, and they put new eyeballs in you, and you have all these new special things that you can do, which is a pretty interesting idea. And again, if it's done right, it can go really well into telling, what's the story between man and machine, because that is where we're heading. We just had another movie came out that was called Ex Machina, I believe, where it's like some guy makes an android or something like that. So,
yeah, I'm kind of wondering. I think the timing is a little weird because I don't know who's putting up the money for this, but I was under the impression that Square is now starting to have a little bit of financial trouble, if not.
No, Square's fine.
They're going to be fine after Final Fantasy VII Remake comes out,
and they already have
going to print money.
They're already porting the PC version of Final Fantasy VII over to the PS4 before the remake, so. They're just going to pump that money cow that is Final Fantasy
They
VII.
will, but they're doing that because they were previously having a little bit of trouble. I've heard they had some financial trouble. But either way, I'm surprised now if they have any kind of financial trouble they're doing this. And I'm kind of surprised they're doing it at all because
no, but they would be paid for the rights. It's not Square Enix wouldn't be making this movie. They would be being paid for the rights to make this movie.
That's what I'm saying. Like, who's putting up the money? Because sometimes the game maker, with some of their properties, they've been involved. At least they've put up half the money or something like that. But if they're simply licensing it out, I guess that makes some sense. But I'm just thinking too, like we already had an Eidos title that's had a movie that I didn't think did particularly well. Hitman,
which actually has another one coming out this August.
Oh, did it do well? Because I didn't think anyone talking about that.
Hitman, I saw it. I didn't really enjoy it all that much, but they do have a new one coming out, and there's another Hitman game coming out as well. So, I don't know. Hitman is coming out in August, so I think it's just called Agent 47. So we'll see how it goes.
Tomb Raider movies did fine. Like that box office wise, they did
Yeah, and the
fine.
Angelina Jolie movies were all right, and the
And that's
part of the
another
reason is
Eidos
they did
game.
well is because they stepped back from the actual stories of the games and said, "Hey, we're just going to make something that takes place in the same world, same characters, but we're almost rebooting the universe to make more sense as a movie." And I think with Deus Ex, if they take some of the storytelling elements, because conspiracy is a really big thing, it's a really big theme throughout the whole Deus Ex games, and they can use that as a nice plot device, and then tell the story about the cybernetics,
Yeah.
humanity becoming more cybernetic. So I am looking forward to this movie. I think it'll be enjoyable, and video game movies have been getting better recently. So I mean, I'm not
Some,
great
yeah. Well,
because
that's
they
the thing
stopped
too, though.
saying,
I'm
"Hey,
just thinking
let's do the same story as a video game."
With Eidos games though. I'm kind of thinking that if this follows the trend, it's going to be like maybe not a horrible movie, but
Hmm.
no one's really going to care that much
Well, I'm
beyond we'll
hoping
see it.
for
And this
another
though is
Blade
also
Runner.
kind of a departure because Tomb Raider, yes, deals with like ancient, weird, mystical stuff a little
It's
bit,
like a
but
female
mostly like an
Indiana
Indiana
Jones.
Jones
Yeah.
movie. It kind of on the lighter side of that. Hitman, it's just a guy with
Killing people.
guns. Yeah,
Well,
so
like I
it's
said,
not
I'm
like
hoping for
Deus Ex though is like
a
special effects heavy.
I'm hoping for another Blade Runner. That's kind of what I'm hoping for.
Oh, Deus Ex?
Yeah,
We'll
they
see.
could get something out of that like that. Bring in the right director and a good enough script and you have the solid potential to do something like that. You know, kind of conspiracy, some people pulling the strings, a mystery going on. You know, and the talking about humanity evolving. That was the big thing about Blade Runner. Are
Yeah.
these robots really human or are they not? Because they think they are, so they have memories like they are, they act like they are, but they're not. So it could be an interesting title. So we'll see how it goes. Are you interested in seeing a Deus Ex movie? Let us know. Hit us up. Comments down below. Of course, at What's My Face on Twitter. Google Plus Facebook. Always good ways getting a hold of us. But let's keep on rolling and let's talk a little TV. And I'm going to give you the shows that you should catch up on during this summer dead time. And that is because, summer networks don't really put much into their summer schedules. Let's just be honest. This is the time where they throw some stuff at the wall, see if it sticks. If it doesn't, they just let it slide off into obscurity.
Or just resort to reruns.
Or just resort to a lot of reruns. And they do that too. They do a lot of that too. And this is where we saw a lot of the reality shows first start popping up. And they're like, hey, we'll just run reality shows during the summer. Thankfully, we're kind of going away from the huge reality show trend, but it's still there's still too many of them, if you ask me. But I just was scouring the streaming sites out there and saw a couple of cool shows that you could go ahead and get into. Maybe you hadn't watched them, maybe you watched a season or two but lost, connection with it. So I'm going to give you a few. So let's start off with ones that you can find on, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, all of those above. And I'm going to start with some cartoons because I love cartoons. Cartoons are good. If you don't like cartoons, you're stupid.
Oh, what kind of, are we talking some Saturday morning cartoons here, Brian? Or are we talking some more uh, adult-oriented cartoons? What
A
are we
little bit of
talking?
comedy, a little bit of comedy. So let's just start off the list. So my first one that I have on there for cartoons is the Clone Wars, and yeah, this was kind of on Cartoon Network, but it is not necessarily all for kids because there's tons of crazy, awesome action and stormtroopers just get killed left and right in this show. So I really enjoyed it. It had its dark themes, but it also, had the good stuff. I thought it was a really good transition for the Star Wars universe between numbers 2 and 3. It was actually the best part of the prequel series, if you ask me. It was better than all three movies put together times 5.
I'm going to have to
So
disagree with you. The best part of the prequel movies was Battlefront 2. Just,
okay,
just
well, the
put it out
video
there.
game, fine, all right, fine. I won't argue that. So you have Clone Wars. There's about 6 seasons out there, plenty of shows to catch up on, and they are all epic. They're all like a half hour long, and it feels like you're watching like the most epic movie every single time. So it's awesome. Check those out. Then we have Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Avengers, everybody loves it. You look at what's happening with the movies. If you want to see a little bit more in depth with the Ultron, that is what Earth's Mightiest Heroes deals with. I believe most of season 2 or parts of season 1 and season 2 have a lot to do with Ultron and
Which would help that movie because
yeah.
there was kind of sparse on the the lead up to Ultron.
Yeah, Ultron is different. He's created differently, and you'll see. Just watch it; it's very interesting. They do go through a bunch of cool villains, but it does have pretty much the main cast that you see, plus Black Panther and Ant-Man and Wasp that you see in the movies. So it's definitely worth watching. I enjoyed the show. I've actually watched it through twice now, not all like back to back, but like over the course of years, and I thought it was awesome. So check that out. Then there's the older show Justice League from back in I believe 2001. That is an awesome show. I love that show more than I love. I actually like Superman as a character in that show, whereas I don't like Superman anywhere else. So
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
You liked him in Smallville.
Because he wasn't really Superman. And I've gone back and watched Smallville recently. It didn't hold up, man.
Did you watch the early? Like, actually, I think it was probably like second to third season, probably the best period. But
Well, yeah. So, but it was really good.
Like,
and Justice League and Justice League Unlimited are up on Netflix. So check those both out. They're a lot of fun. You get to see a lot of heroes that you might not know about too much, and a lot of them that are coming to light more, like Green Arrows in this at least Unlimited a lot, and you don't really hear too much about them. Hawkgirl is a main character in the Justice League series, and she's about to get her own show on CW. So those are cool. So those are the more, I guess, more kid-oriented ones, but not really kid-oriented. Then you have some other ones. I know Brendan's going to be... I had to put this on there. I enjoy it, but if I didn't put this on the list, Brendan would be mad at me, and that's Psycho Pass. That is up on Netflix. It is a very interesting show. It has good concept, very well written. You won't see the second season up on Netflix. You only see the first season up there. But
I thought the second season's up there now.
Oh, okay.
Maybe,
well, you might.
Maybe not. Maybe they took it down, or maybe it's only on some like Hulu. Actually, I think that might be where it is. I think I might have watched.
So again, one of the streaming services. So check that out. You'll enjoy it. Even if you're not a fan of anime, it's a pretty cool story, and it's worth watching. And then the last of these, there's plenty more that I could have said with different other ones, but I wanted to keep it relatively short list. But Death Note, if you haven't seen it, check it out. It is awesome. Brendan doesn't agree.
Yeah, you mean the anime, not necessarily the movies, although the
movies weren't bad, but they're not up on streaming as far as I know. But Death Note, the TV show, it's only 37 episodes long for the whole series. It does kind of fall apart a little bit towards the end, but the majority of that...
But it keeps you on edge and wanting to see more for so long. It's like a giant chess game.
Yes, it is.
A giant chess game that you actually want to watch.
And it's actually a TV show that it seems like they were like, okay, let's sit down and let's weave an intricate story. Some of these, especially animes, it feels like they're just like, okay, so here's how we want to start it, and then here's how we want to end it, and let's just figure out our way to connect the dots. Yeah. Doesn't really have to make sense, but let's just do it. And then the ending usually makes no sense with what happened in the beginning. So, they actually connect the dots. It does turn out very well, and it's thoroughly enjoyable. So check that out if you haven't checked out Death Note before. And so now let's get more over to, I guess I was going to say live action, but I actually have another cartoon. But I guess more, I'll just throw the cartoon over. It's more adult-oriented, but Archer, I believe the first 4 seasons are up on Netflix. If you want just to have a good time, watch that. H. John Benjamin is one of my favorite voice actors of all time, and he does the voice of Archer. These are the guys who did Frisky Dingo, which nobody seems to know about, but was on Cartoon Network for a while. And it's just hilarious. It's one of the best shows out there. It's still on Spike, so check it out when you can. But then on some of the more live action, I'm going to go with a couple that are Netflix originals, and then there's Daredevil. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's awesome. Amazing fight scenes. We do have a review up. Check that out. Marco Polo. I enjoyed that thoroughly. Not the greatest piece of TV out there, but if you haven't seen it, it's worth watching. And we also have a review of that one. Then a couple other ones. Arrow. I believe they have the first 2 seasons up on there. There's a little bit of stuff where it's like, oh, I'm whiny. Oh, I'm CW. Okay. But then there's so many more moments of action and just great storytelling that makes you want to watch it. And it makes sense why there's going to be so many spin-offs, because they did the show very, very well. It actually appeals to almost all audiences, men, women, children. Keep your kids away from it, I guess. I don't know what type of parents you are. Brendan, would you let your 4-year-old watch Arrow?
No, probably not, but okay. maybe the 11, 12-year-old.
Yeah, I guess, it wouldn't be too bad for that. Yeah, right in that's the wheelhouse that you're in. And up, but I enjoyed it. So, but then you have a show like Vikings that I believe 3 seasons are up on Amazon Prime. It's an awesome show, very
That's
cool
definitely not for the
historical
little
base.
kids.
Well,
But
no, but like I said, most of these weren't. Daredevil
yeah,
and Marco Polo are certainly not for little
yeah, I
kids.
know exactly. I mean, yeah,
So
those even more so than Vikings. But
yeah, but Vikings is a very entertaining show. Ragnar Lothbrok, the guy who plays that character, I don't know how he does it. Like he's almost like he acts like he's insane, but he's not insane. you know, Yeah. And not that he
it
acts like he is; he just looks like he is half the time.
it kind of it kind of confuses
Hmm.
me of how I should feel about these characters. It's like the kind of protagonists do such terrible things.
Anti-hero is the best way of saying it. I would
I
say.
it it's like they'd be the hero as long as you hate the rest of humanity. I guess I don't know.
So
It's weird, but it gives. I guess it's well done as a historical piece
hmm
of introducing you to their culture, their way of thinking, and it's like, yeah, it kind of challenges you on like, hey, well, you kind of want to root for this guy in certain situations, and in other kind of situations, you're like,
you jerk.
he really did just do that,
Yeah.
and
So.
this is supposed to be historical. He would have did this to people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's good. To rattle off a couple more, Sons of Anarchy, excellent show. All 7 seasons, I believe, are both on Prime and Netflix. Dexter, at least the first 4 seasons are amazing. And then the one that you have to watch, if you haven't watched it, I don't know what's going on with you. You've only had like 15 years to watch it, and that's Firefly. It is a masterpiece, 11 episode masterpiece. It baffles my mind how it didn't get picked up as a season 2. And then after you're done watching the only 11 episodes, go ahead and watch the movie Serenity, and you'll just be like, what happened? What
Yeah,
are they
I
doing?
think
Joss
the best
Whedon,
theory I
one of the
ever
best things
heard
he's ever
for why
done.
that didn't
It was just too
continue.
good.
It was too expensive.
Yeah, maybe, but
It is a
it was just
pretty.
amazing.
You can tell it's a pretty expensive
It
for
was
a
excellently
brand new
done.
TV show.
Yeah, I want to say it was back in 2001 was when that came out. It was
Yeah.
amazing. It was absolutely amazing. So that's our list. So check it out. Those are the things to keep you going through this summer Deadzone TV time. Hit us up. Let us know any other ones we left off the list, or is there any of these that you haven't watched that you're excited to go watch? Let us know. Comments down below, of course, at What's My Face on Twitter, Google Plus, and Facebook. Always good ways of getting a hold of us. But let's keep on rolling and let's talk a little video games. And
Video games.
last week we had kind of a video game marathon going on with E3. So much to talk about. So this is actually kind of a leftover story from E3, and that is Shenmue 3. That's actually broken records as Kickstarter. It was announced during the Sony press conference. They said, hey, we're going to let Shenmue do Kickstarter, which when I saw that, I was like, huh? Like, Sony, you're like a publisher in yourself. Why not just give them the development money
Why show
yourself?
off a Kickstarter at your main
Yeah.
E3 event of all things?
It's almost like, hey, you video game companies are kind of stretching it here. First, you're going to do a Kickstarter, and then you're going to sell the game to get more money for it. So, yeah, that was kind
I
of.
mean, it's not like Sony's the publisher, but I kind of wonder like why isn't Sony the publisher? But
Yeah, well, I bet you it'll be a PS4 exclusive now.
I think they
It has
already
to.
announced it, or it's going to be like PS4. It's going to do another one of those PS4 PC exclusives
Yeah,
situations.
like Street
Yeah,
Fighter 5.
I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, says at least right now, PC and PS4. That's it. That's all it's saying. I don't even see any stretch goals for anything else.
So, and that's a weird thing about this game as well, is it was originally a Dreamcast game, and it
Hmm.
was a Dreamcast exclusive. And now Sega, yes, I understand they have moved on from making systems and they do make games now. So I guess Sega would be back in it a little bit. And why aren't they paying for this game? I don't understand why they're having a Kickstarter for obviously something that's in demand that will obviously make money for a company, and now they're having people pay for it. And this story wasn't originally about greed of video game companies, but it's about to turn into that, because that's ridiculous to me. Like, you're going to make your money off of it. Why take money from other people to make more money? It's like you want free money. Free money.
Who doesn't?
Well, I guess that's true. I want free money, but I don't have billions already in the bank. So
You know,
give me free money. WordsMyFace.com will let you know how to give me free money.
I think that there's something to say for what they're doing here, because maybe it's more along the lines of they weren't sure. There's for some reason they were still iffy or on the fence about whether anyone cared about Shenmue 3 or whether enough people did.
Mm.
So they're like, okay, we'll do the Kickstarter so that people can show us the confidence in it. And to be fair, at right now it's at 3,559,000.
Which it hit like 3 million the first day, didn't
Yeah.
it? So
Yeah, something like
all the
that.
people who cared gave money already.
Yeah, with 40,000 backers,
Wow.
most of which are the people that are getting the stuff,
How much do you have
getting
to
the game.
how much do you have to pay to get the game? Is it $60?
It's $29 to get a
Oh,
digital copy of the game, $60 to get the physical PC copy.
um, I'd just go for the 29 and download the digital copy. It's not bad.
Yeah, so it's not a bad price point for that. And it looks like you can get the PC or the PS4 copy for that. And there's a bunch of other rewards, but they have like 40,000 people. But if you think about it, and granted, this is just for a Kickstarter, and a lot of people that are going to get the game are not going to go into a Kickstarter or not going to have heard of it. But 40,000 is not really a really good selling game. 3 million is not really the budget that they go for big title games anymore. That's more a high indie level, really low
Triple
big
A title.
game.
I mean, that's a really high indie level though.
Yeah, it's definitely gone beyond indie level, but related to that, I think it was a few hours ago, the developers said that in order to make this, a major full feature game or open world game that they talked about that they kind of want, they would need 10 million. So there's 24 days left to go, so they might make that, maybe. But see, that's the kind of budget that you kind of need to work with now with games. And if you think about it, the other open world games out there, other than a handful of low graphics with big graphic open world games, are usually something the order of like closer to the 100 million side. Grand Theft Auto 5 was over 200 million. Skyrim probably.
Well, we'll see. But Skyrim, I don't think was that big. I don't know. Bethesda,
but still,
Bethesda
like,
knows how to make a huge
modern
open world
games,
game without being
they need.
crazy.
Yeah, modern games though they cost a lot of money.
I wonder how much Fallout 4 went for, because that's a big open world. Yeah, but I mean, Bethesda makes amazing games. So you know what? If they put 500 million into a game, I wouldn't be surprised, because it would be worth it. All right, nobody.
I don't think they've done that yet.
No, that'd be ridiculous. That would be ridiculous. But
still, yeah. So
it did seem like they had a trailer to show off for Shenmue. So I'm like, yeah, why? Was that just clips from old games?
They've been doing that in order to get a really good Kickstarter going, you do have to show usually that you have something in development already, that there's not just thin air. Some places do Kickstarters with just thin air, but it doesn't do as well. So they probably have made a few like demos, done some baseline work. They've talked about Shenmue 3 for a long time, so maybe they had like some old 10 footage. So maybe they had some old footage. They did show off some of the old game footage. I mean, the developer says that he wants. I think the main producer says that he would like to see a Shenmue 4 as well, and beyond. Like,
all right, one step at a time here, buddy. Let's just get Shenmue 3 out there.
Yeah, but I'm saying like they. So it's not like they're just coming out of left field. So they probably have had some proposals over the last few years. They've done some tweaks, and in order to get this Kickstarter going, they put in a little money themselves towards getting a decent demo.
To be honest with you, it's a game I knew about. I just never played myself. I did own a Dreamcast too.
I haven't played it either, and I still own a Dreamcast, but it's one of the games that I've been wanting to play because almost every Dreamcast fan talks about it. I've heard very few people that didn't like it. There are a few people that didn't care for it, but I've heard so many people that are like, "This is the game. This is the game that made them get into the Dreamcast."
It was Dreamcast. It was Shenmue, or it was one of the sports games, because Dreamcast was amazing for their sports games, especially
Sonic Adventure.
One.
No, was also a big deal.
No, not as big as the sports game. Sorry, football and that's why the 2K series still goes on. Like, there's
No, I
no.
understand,
That was a
but
Dreamcast
Sonic
one, too.
Adventure was a big deal too.
Yeah, it was alright.
But whatever. I mean, yeah. But
I enjoyed it.
Shenmue
I did enjoy
was
Sonic
huge.
Adventure, but Shenmue was this signature game of the series the system, if I could say it. But yeah, so that's going to be interesting to see. I don't know if there's a timetable on when that game comes out. Is there?
What I'm really hoping for with this, though, is that if they get enough money, or if they find that, okay, we didn't make it to our open world budget, so we kind of have a little extra, maybe they start porting the first two games so that you can get it, or include the first two games in some way, so that the people that haven't played it, because remember, these games came out 14 years ago on a system that only was really in production for a year.
It died.
Yeah.
Pretty fast.
So there's probably a lot of people that would be interested in getting this now there's the hype that would really benefit from having a new port of Shenmue 1 and 2.
But do we have a timetable of when it's coming out?
No.
Okay. Well,
no, wait, hold on. Estimated delivery date for some of this stuff. Yeah, it looks like December 2017.
Okay.
So that's a realistic date, I would say.
That means they have a little bit already started, but they really are going to start jumping into it. So, I don't know. Let us know what you think.
That's a realistic time frame, too, though. That means that they're going to take their time on this game,
Make a good game.
But they're hopefully not going to just let it dissipate.
Yeah. But I don't know. Let us know what you think. Are you excited about Shenmue 3? Do you want to go back and play the other two? Did you go ahead and put some money into this Kickstarter? Let us know what you think. Hit us up, comments down below. Of course, at What's My Face on Twitter. Google Plus Facebook. Always good ways getting a hold of us. But that just about does it for us for this evening. So as always, I'm Brian. With me, as always, producer extraordinaire, Brendan.
You.
And we are going to headbang our way out of this joint. And good night, everybody!